Now, when you talk about mental health, there might be some beliefs, culture beliefs, myths, misconceptions that really affect our growth of mental illness, maybe mental health, if I'm to say. Our societies dictate a lot into, or maybe at times contribute to our failing of mental health because of some beliefs that were misconceived.
So we fail to understand mental health itself.
Yeah.
And therefore, if mental illnesses come our way because of these misconceptions, stereotypes,
True.
we fail to even look for ways of how we can better and
and I think this actually affects our self-awareness when it comes to our mental health, because if someone is having a misconception, a myth, or maybe a false belief they believe in when it comes to mental health, then in the long run they won't be in position to address it.
And of course, for them, they don't look at it as a misconception. Maybe to them it is a fact and it is a reality.
They believe in
and
it.
I think we are here to address it not as a fact to them, and we are trying to bring it out as really a misconception.
Would I be right if I'm like, you a man, be a man, man up?
Yeah, I think that is one of the misconceptions, especially when it comes to the way men are supposed to treat things to do with mental illnesses. In other words, it is actually, and we also need to strike a balance here, that we need to pay attention to the fact that yes, men are needed to be courageous. Men are needed to rise up to the occasion, to stand up, to be at the forefront of facing the hard things that are coming their way. But if crying is one of the means to relieve you of a certain burden, men do cry, and I believe, I stand to be corrected, I believe that men can really cry, because if our tradition tells us about the noblest of Allah's creatures, the prophets, crying, and Allah points it out in the Quran. He cried, the Prophet Yaqub alayhi salam, وَبِيَضَّتْ عَيْنَاهُ مِنَ الْحُزْنِ. His eyes, scholars say, went blind because of the grief he was going through. If that was the case for Yaqub alayhi salam, if it was the case with the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam crying after the loss of his beloved son, it would mean that crying is important, but what is making you cry? Because men do cry about important things, especially if it is coming up with the mental health now that we are focusing on, because if the mind is not in the right place, it means there is going to be an imbalance, like we talked about.
So basically, the fact being a man is not something that stops you from being a human being, going through some emotions and so on. But I think we can also address, I don't know why locally we have a limit. The Bagandas normally say kukaba, but the English, they have the wailing thing.
Yeah, we have crying and
the crying and wailing, where someone can shed tears.
Actually, you can include the third term, weeping.
Weeping. Someone is going through something. They are not shedding tears, but they are literally crying.
Crying from the inside.
From the inside. Letting that emotion out. So in giving this misconception clarification, it's not right, I think, when someone thinks just being a man is going to make them an island. And just to stand to be corrected, we are not trying to raise crying babies.
Cry babies all the time. No?
Exactly, because someone might think we are trying to just get into a movement of men, please cry. But we are trying to put that balance between the mental health of someone, and we have very many citations from the life.
If crying is coming as one of the options, and the society is telling me don't cry, you are a man,
it's going to stop you from being a better person tomorrow.
Also, just like I wouldn't open up to anyone about my health anywhere, even. Okay, just like simply because I'm talking to a medical doctor, I have a physical ailment, a physical illness, I don't feel shy to talk to the medical. I easily open up. I have a headache, I have a stomach ache. But how many times have you had people opening up themselves to the counselors, to the therapists. It is actually one of the roles of the therapists, the professionals, to dig deep into
what's going on.
It is actually therapists are paid for that, to dig deep into this someone. It is because maybe in one way or the other there is a stereotype going on that it embarrasses for me to talk about this even to the right people. That even when it comes to talking to your loved ones about something that is bothering you from a mental health point of view, you feel shy. That you shy out. Maybe I'm going to be embarrassed. There is a way people are going to look at me that is not okay. And you're like, no. If Islam gives health an important role in life, and that includes physical and mental health, it means that anything to make sure we are physically healthy, we are mentally healthy, you're not supposed to feel shy.
Actually, that also opens a door into someone investing in making sure they're going to do that to a right person. Because if we are talking about someone not feeling embarrassed, not feeling shy when they're opening up to the right person, then it is also an indirect message to them to make sure they get to the right person. Because if they don't get to the right person opening up to them, it might turn out being a factor of some more mental illness,
more embarrassment,
more embarrassment that might come out of that. I think it normally happens, because
like if a prominent sheikh goes to seek therapy, maybe, then almost obviously the therapist is like, Sheikh so and so came to me and
told me this and that. Some people use that as content too, because as they're trying to advertise themselves.
So the right person is also key. That if you found the right person, please don't feel embarrassed. It is
open up.
It is a misconception that you're going to be embarrassed. It is actually that no one is making you feel embarrassed. It is actually the embarrassment is coming from within yourself. And if we try to clear that, I think it would be.
And if anyone happens to be a right person anywhere, I think you need to put value to that time and moment.
Professionalism and
when someone is trying to talk to you, they think confidentiality. They have put the trust in you. I think do that back. Put the trust back and value that position you're in.
Also about people saying someone who is having mental health issues, as they look at them as not being religious enough. Someone you can't be
religious and at the same time having some mental.
Okay, if you are religious enough, it means you're so close to God. Then why would you be battling depression, anxiety and stress? This is not right, I think.
It's a myth too.
It needs to be clarified that there is nothing, there is no connection between religiosity and mental health. Because you might be a practicing Muslim, you observe your 5 daily prayers, but still life happens. Traumatizing situations come your way. You are stressed out at work. These are things that have no relationship with.
It basically makes sense when the Prophet is like, when Allah loves their creatures, ibtalahu.
He tests them. He tries them.
So it would be a wrong understanding where someone thinks just because they are good at their religion, then they're supposed to be good in every aspect of life.
Maybe. If I'm good in religion, then I'm supposed to be good in life. And some cases would be that if I'm praying 5 times a day, why isn't my financial status okay? Also because there are myths that come that way. So prayer isn't helping you because you're still poor and you're praying. You're praying 5 times a day. And so it needs to be understood that even when you're talking about mental illness, you can still be so religious and still you're battling mental illnesses. So it is important for us to know this as a misconception. It is really a misconception for you to look at someone who is battling mental illness as not being religious enough.
What we are basically doing is to throw awareness out there for people not to get to these misconceptions, myths, and all these beliefs that are misconceived. Because I don't really think whoever brought a statement of be a man was having this as in their mind.
Yeah.
of don't cry, don't open up, don't do it. I don't think that was what he was doing.
Yeah.
But to strike the balance between the two, I think we're supposed to also encourage people who are in those positions to remember their roles in that angle. Because if you're a father, mother, and you open up to your kid, a minor in this case, that opening up might be sensitive to them.
So that in that line, it is obviously an imbalance about your definition of who is the right person.
The right person you're opening up to, because you protect that in that angle.
Also, not neglecting the fact, of course, some people say things to do with the genes whatsoever, things in the other dimension of our existence. We can't rule that out, obviously, but we need to also pay attention to the fact that they are not always genes.
Yeah.
Like of recently, I had a case of a brother coming to me and he's like, my mom wants to take me for ruqya thing, so that people pray for me because they know I don't talk to people. I don't talk to my people. It has been quite some time. I'm not talking to my family members. I'm like, could you please talk to a counselor? Because of course I'm not a professional, but I would call that it is a personality maybe disorder. Maybe you are an introvert. How do you check about that? Because there is not enough awareness with people. Anything that appears to them as a disorder, genes. You need ruqya.
So like, this awareness will work for them.
Awareness,
probably.
I think it works
before you
for them.
switch to the other.
Because if you don't look at it as a mental illness, the only illness that matters to you is physical illness. When mental illness comes in, of course, you will not have any other alternative apart from saying these are gene.
And I think that brings us to a point that it's okay to be mentally unhealthy.
Yes.
Because I don't think we have anyone standing on earth without any challenge mentally.
Yes.
But this whole awareness contributes into doing something to make sure it's not bothering you and maybe affecting your thoughts and actions.
Talking about doing something, I think this is when we need to talk about the factor of, just like we said with Musa alayhi salam and the staff on the sea. Another myth is that when you're battling mental illness, you don't need to talk about that to your imam, to your counselor. That is a test from Allah. Just
go through
it. It's a test from Allah. Time will come and it will go through it. It is a misconception, because even part of going through it is seeking for medical assistance, talking to someone. So it is important for us to realize that these are myths that have a cultural background, a traditional background, especially when you're talking about men don't cry traditionally, because men are supposed to man up, rise up to the occasion. And if it happens that way, I think we need to make people come to a realization that these are actually myths. This is a kind of illness that needs to be given awareness for people to understand that just like we are aware of our physical illness, we need to obviously be aware of our mental illness and seek for ways in which we can work upon them.
May Allah see us through that.
Ameen.